All right, so we ended geometry by talking about volume and surface area. So we were using formulas all the time and substituting in the lengths of like the height and the slant height and all of those things into those formulas and solving. So we're going to start out Algebra 2 by kind of reviewing that as a segue into simplifying equations and solving equations. So today we are just going to be evaluating expressions. So I'm going to give you some numbers that you're going to substitute into expressions and then simplify. So we are going to start with this one. Okay, so right here we have 2b minus 2a over c squared, and up above we have the numbers that we're going to be substituting in. So every time you substitute a number in, I want you to put parentheses around it. It's going to guarantee that you have less mistakes, especially if you're putting them in the calculator. So right here we're simply going to replace each of the letters with the number that is stated above. Okay, so we've got a 4 here. Instead of writing a, we write -1. And C, we have 2.5. Okay, now we need to think about order of operations on these. Because if you just throw this all in the calculator, a lot of you would get it wrong because you need to make sure you have proper parentheses, so it's easier to take little baby steps. So I'm going to extend this down here so we have some more room. All right, so what we should do first with order of operations, you may remember PEMDAS. So P is parentheses. Now, we have parentheses, but inside the parentheses, there's nothing to simplify, so we don't have to do that. Next one is E, which is exponents. So we're going to do the exponent right here on the bottom. Nothing else is going to change. So I'm going to leave these. And on the bottom, I'm simply going to change that to be the answer, which is 6.25. Okay, so that was first step in our order of operations. We have all the exponents done. Now we move on to multiplication and division. Okay, so looking at the numerator and the denominator separately, in the numerator we have some multiplication we can do. So let's do that. 2 times 4, we get 8. -2 times -1, we get +2. Didn't change anything on the bottom. Okay, now on the top, all we have left is addition, so we can put those together. 10 over 6.25, and then the last thing is to simply just divide those two things. So everyone do that. 10 divided by 6.25. What are we getting? Hopefully we got this answer in the box right here, 1.6. Okay, so this is similar to what your homework problems are going to look like. Let's look at this next one here. All right, so first step is to simply just replace all of the letters with the numbers. Okay, so we're going to rewrite this with the numbers substituted in. All right, so it should look like that. Replaced all the A, B, and C with the numbers. All right, so now we're looking at order of operations. Okay, parentheses. There are things that have parentheses in them to simplify, like right here. So we need to do that first. So nothing else is going to change. We're going to take this in baby steps. So we got 4 times 2.5 minus 3. And then inside the parentheses here, -1 minus 4, we get -5. And I no longer have parentheses there because I simplified what was inside the parentheses. Okay, we don't have any exponents. So next is to do all of the multiplication and division. There's no division, so we're just going to multiply everywhere where it says to multiply. So right here, we're going to multiply at the beginning. We get 10 when we multiply those two. And then we also have multiplication right here. Okay, so those were the only two spots where there was multiplication. Simplified that step. Okay, we have another set of parentheses. Okay, there are square brackets, which are still parentheses. We need to simplify that. So we have 10 minus 3, and that's really 0. Negative 5 plus 5 is 0. Then we multiply before we add and subtract, so we need to multiply these two right here. 10 minus 0. Hopefully the answer says 10 over here. It does. Okay, so your homework is going to be a lot of that. You have an expression, they'll tell you what the variables stand for, substitute those numbers in, and simplify. So let's tie this into what we were doing right at the end of geometry. Okay, some of you may remember, okay, finding volume of a cone. This was right at the end. Volume of a cone, who remembers the formula? Volume equals, it comes to a point, so the cones and the pyramids had the same volume formula. 1/3 capital B, which stands for area of the base, times the height. Okay, so let's just throw some numbers on here. Let's say the height is 12 and the radius, I don't know, looks like it's 3. Okay, so let's figure out what this would be. So we have volume equals 1/3. Now I said capital B was area of the base. So what shape is the base on this 3D figure? Yes, it's a circle. Okay, so area of the base would be pi r squared. Okay, so that's really what capital B is. And we have the height on the end. Okay, now I just told you what the radius and the height are, so it's really just like what we were doing on the previous page. We have a formula, we have the numbers that we need to substitute in, and we're going to substitute them in and solve. Okay, so we've got volume equals 1/3 pi, and then we have the radius squared times the height. Okay, order of operations says we need to do exponents first. So we change that 3 squared to a 9. And then everything here is multiplication. So we can simply just put the whole thing in the calculator. Calculator tells me it's 113.1. Okay, so there's the connection between what we ended geometry doing and how it's going to link to Algebra 2. And moving forward, we're going to be more, in the world of algebra, okay, not linking it to shapes so much. Okay, so we just found the volume there. Questions on that?